Welcome to the This Little Lighthouse podcast, where I share stories of encouragement for other home educating parents and stories of faith. I'm so glad that you're here, and I really hope this is an encouragement to you on your journey. Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of the This Little Lighthouse podcast. I'm Lucy.
And I'm Berno, Lucy's husband.
And tonight we're going to be chatting about rest.
And resting well.
Resting well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, we'll see how we get on.
I was planning to talk about planning.
But rest assured, you're now talking about resting.
Rest assured, I love that. Yes, I thought actually there's so much about planning at the moment on social media and things, which I love. I love that this time of year. I love the feeling of the new academic year.
All right, being prepared, getting organised. Sorting your life out.
And actually, rest is something that we don't always talk about very often, and it's so important.
I don't think we, as a culture, are very good at understanding how to rest well, because we're a highly productive-driven type of culture, and so productivity is so important that it comes at the expense of resting well. And actually, I think there's tons of research that shows that if you're well rested, you do so much better. But often we kind of put that aside because there's so much more stuff that needs doing. And
That's true.
Depends on your kind of workload and the pressure and responsibilities you feel as well.
Yeah. And as home educating parents, I think it can be very challenging to find the space and the time to rest. And same for working parents as well. If you're going to work and then you're coming home and looking after your children,
but then
there's probably very little window there as well.
Yeah, but I think also every person's different as well.
Yes.
How we rest. Are you good at resting?
Rubbing my eyes because I'm tired, ironically. No, I'm terrible at resting.
You need some rest now, do you?
I actually do. And the reason actually the thing that inspired me to talk about this was because at the weekend I felt really poorly.
Yeah,
I was really poorly.
You came down very suddenly with something, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was feeling very burnt out. Sorry, I've got a really itchy eye. I was feeling burnt out anyway. I was very emotional and mentally struggling, and then I was ill, and I realised, wow, I think I'm just very tired and I haven't been very good at resting. And that's what inspired me to talk about this. And I wanted to share some practical suggestions.
Where you don't get ill.
And you're well rested, and I thought it'd be really helpful to talk about that.
Now, why... Sorry, I'm going to try and I don't want to throw the spanner in the works, but after you've just shared about you doing all this stuff and then crashing down and getting ill, why are you now going to give tips on how to rest well when you can't do it yourself?
Such a good point. It's a really good point. Because I know some of the theory, but I also asked today on my stories, and when I say I know the theory, I think it's that thing of I know in my head theoretically what I should do, but I don't always do it. And I asked today in my stories, I wanted to find out what other people's experiences are. I wanted to find out, do people intentionally set time aside to rest? And the other thing is that kind of, I guess a couple of weeks ago, I was starting to get better at making sure to have a day of rest.
Yeah.
And I was thinking a lot about that. We've talked before, just between the two of us, about Sabbath and how important that is. And I have there are certain strategies that I say strategies, that makes it really formal, but there's certain things that I do proactively to prevent overwhelm, which does help. So I wanted to share some of those things, but also share some of the ideas that were mentioned as I shared in my stories, where people messaged and said, "Oh, well, I do this," or.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh yeah, that sounds like a serious one.
It's a serious question. When you say rest, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think there's different types of rest. I think there's physical rest. I think there's mental rest. There's probably, I don't know if
Emotional
there's,
rest.
I don't know about emotional rest, but there's like, yeah, I don't know. I think there's different types of rest. I think, like, obviously you can physically rest, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're mentally rested if you're busy on your phone or you're
Right.
sorting stuff out.
So you might not be physically active, but when you're looking at videos and stuff on your phone, you're engaging in that. So there's a mental stimulation that's going on.
Yeah.
Which is why, I guess, if people, if you're told late at night, don't be on your phone late at night or on screens because that affects your sleep.
Yeah.
Part of it is because your brain hasn't had chance to calm down after all that stimulation.
Yeah.
So yeah, just because you're on your phone doesn't mean you're resting.
No, definitely. In fact, so we started during Lent. We decided that we were going to switch our phones off at 9 o'clock at night. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was really good.
And it was really helpful. And we started reading more, and then we started going to bed earlier, and then that meant that we were getting up a bit earlier, and
Just felt more refreshed.
we felt more refreshed.
Yeah.
And then we were like, right, we're going to carry this on after Lent because it's been so good. Have we carried it on? No. But that was something that really helped, and I think it's something maybe we could bring back in.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Because you just feel so much better in yourself. I think it's, in terms of the rest from that, is having a good night's sleep. You feel better rested to take on the challenges for the next day. You've got more headspace for it. You feel much, less foggy in your head, I think, brighter.
Yeah. And I did find on Instagram there's a setting for sleep mode, so you can turn that on at a certain time, which means that you don't get notifications.
Oh, I've turned off all my notifications.
But yeah, it also means that if someone messages you, they're aware that you've got sleep mode on as well.
Talking about messaging, I think something that robs us of our rest is the culture around messaging and instant communication and having to be almost instantly available. And so that, again, is a modern problem because, when they had, in the days of smoke signals, you couldn't see them at night, but we're so hyper connected.
Yeah.
And again, that stimulates all kinds of thoughts in your brain and things, so you haven't got time to wind down.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I kind of grew up with don't know if that was at home, but this idea of phone calls. This was before smartphones, but no phone calls after a certain time of night, like 8 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, forgot about that.
So communication kind of ends, and it's just like, right, we're now in this stage of the day, and
yeah,
that's it. And we used to read books. That's what we did as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear, please do comment below if you have a certain time at night that you switch off, that you're like, right, no, after this point, I'm not going to communicate with the outside world. I'd be interested to know.
I think it's a very healthy thing to do.
Yeah. I thought I would also share some of the tips that other people shared or just their own experiences. So a couple of people actually have shared that they have a quiet time in the afternoon. So they have a certain window of time, a designated window of time, where it's quiet time, and they might have something specific for the children to do. They didn't actually say that. They mentioned what they do during that time. But yeah, I've heard that. Or that it's like a time to read, where everyone's will sit for, say, an hour and just be quiet and read books.
Sounds like times where you are just take almost stimulation away, any kind of stimulation away, and just almost decompress in a way to be able to focus later on.
Yeah, and the other, someone else shared that they have an evening of the week where they have off, and their husband has an evening off too. So he has like an activity that he goes and does on an evening, and then the following evening she'll do her own thing, and they sort of give each other that time just to have that time away, really.
Yeah, we've been doing recently, although we haven't done it during the summer, is we go climbing. But we do that as a family, and we all go together.
Yeah.
Which is, it's another form of rest in that where our lives are quite mentally stimulating, to then do some physical exercise
Yeah.
is a good way to rest your mental busyness, because you're focusing on a very different task and activity. And to do that, then to do that as a shared activity,
Yeah,
it's good fun.
that's been really good.
And it's time together and memories made together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've if we talked about this already. Did we talk about Sabbath?
No, we've not mentioned
No.
Sabbath yet.
So
What do you mean by Sabbath?
Sabbath is the word Sabbath comes from the Bible,
Yeah.
and it's the idea that you have a day of rest. So
Why?
in the Bible, if you go back to Adam and Eve,
Right at the start. In the
right
beginning.
at the start, in the
Genesis
beginning.
1.
Yeah, I assume it's Genesis 1.
It is Genesis 1, yeah. You read it recently, she's forgotten.
I just don't know whether it's exactly Genesis 1 or if it's like later
Exactly
on.
Genesis
But this
1.
is where it talks about creation and how God made the world in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. And so it kind of sets this pattern for us. And I was reading in Exodus how God is explaining to his people that the seventh day is set aside for them to rest, and that it's a gift from God. And he's modelled that effectively by creating the world in 6 days, whether you believe that's literal or not. And then he rested on the seventh day.
And then later on, when he gives the 10 Commandments again, one of them is about the Sabbath, honour the Sabbath.
Yeah.
And he kind of reminds people in 6 days he created the earth, and on the seventh day he rested. And so kind of almost instituted in a, like, you've got to rest, and you shouldn't do any work on that day, not you or any of your family members or your people who work for you or your animals, like everyone's resting.
Yeah. But that is what I found interesting reading about it just in Exodus is the heart behind that, because it sounds like, oh, you must rest.
Yeah.
Because this is what I did. But the heart behind it is like, yeah, like this is good. Like this is a good thing, and it's that gift that God wants us to rest and enjoying the work that we've put in over the 6 days, because when God rested on the seventh day, he was enjoying creation and kind of enjoying what he'd made. And I think it's just so important. And I don't know kind of how it came about, but I was just thinking about the Sabbath more and how I don't really take a Sabbath effectively, because there's always stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how can I do that, practically? What does that look like for us as a family? You work for the church, so Sunday is not really a rest day. It's actually a work day for you.
Not that Sunday is the official Sabbath. But...
No, not this official. But that's in my head what I was thinking.
Well, I think if you grow up in a Christian home, you've got this idea that Sunday is the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Which is not. It's not the right idea. If you're going to be very literal about it, it should be the Saturday. But that's not what it's about. It's not about the specific day.
Yeah.
But it's about having a day of rest.
Yeah. And
what is interesting, is that there's been studies done on this.
Yeah.
About maybe there should be a 10-day working day.
Oh right.
And they found that's just people can't hack it. It has been, it's always been a 5-day working day or
working week.
Working week, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now there's tests of having a 4-day working week where you work longer hours and then you have 3 days off. So there's all kinds of tests going on, but it's interesting. It's testing these ideas of how long can a human body sustain a working period, and it seems like you can't go past or sustain long term at least 10 days. So interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I was thinking, if you're going to have a day of rest, say it is, whatever day, for us it has to kind of be a Saturday.
Oh, it's a Friday. Well, no, you're home educating, yes. So
it has to be a Saturday. That works best for us as a family.
Yeah.
But to be able to have that day of rest, you need to be proactive the day before, but
So
maybe a bit.
prepare for your
To
day of rest.
prepare for your day of rest.
Yeah.
And that means putting in a bit extra work. So on the Friday, making sure that you've maybe got a meal prepared for the Saturday. It could just literally be a freezer meal.
Yeah.
And then like not doing any washing on the Saturday, because it's just
Yeah.
it's good to
Rest from your usual tasks.
rest from your
Take a
usual
break from
tasks.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and take a break. And I started to get better at doing that, and then recently I've kind of almost gone back to the old habits. But I want to bring that back in again and make sure that there's a healthier balance.
I think that's it. It's sometimes having to plan in the rest if you've already got a busy day and a lot of things to think about, to then think about planning how to rest on the weekend or a specific day.
Yeah.
Sometimes that gets a bit lost, doesn't it? Because, okay, how do you plan to rest? Surely resting is you just don't do anything, but that's not the case actually. Like going out as a family to do something together, that's a trip out, gets you out of the house as well. I think it's sometimes also helpful to know what environments are restful environments.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're going to be at home and you're going to feel pulled towards doing certain jobs, you're not going to rest because you're going to be conscious there's all these jobs that need doing. And that's not going to be although you're not doing anything, that might not necessarily be restful because you're conscious of those things. And so it plays on your mind.
Yeah.
Whereas if you remove yourself.
Yeah, which is why when you get out in nature, that's really restful, isn't it? Like just being outside and enjoying creation, and that is restful.
And thinking about, all the things we're learning, you then get to go out, particularly like nature studies and things, you then get to go out and see it and just enjoy it. Oh, we learnt about this week. There it is. And, oh, we learnt about that. And, oh, we read about this recently. Oh, look, there it is. It's quite fun spotting it then because it almost rest cements what you've been learning.
Yeah.
And that's what's found with sleep as well. When you sleep and you've really invested time in practicing something like instruments, something, or if you have a break from it, there's something in that break that helps solidify what you've learned or what you're processing. So rest is, I think, overlooked and underrated and undervalued almost.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a really good point actually about that. When you're sleeping and it kind of consolidating it. Some other kind of practical suggestions that I was just going to share, which is more to do with, I guess, it's to do with pacing yourself. But I just wanted to share some really practical things that I've found over the years as a mum that's home educating and is at home with the girls a lot. And those are really practical things like putting in one load of washing a day so that it doesn't build up. I like to say, what is it? One load of washing a day keeps the piles at bay. Something like that.
All right. First time I've heard of it.
I shared it once on my story. I was like, yeah, I love that. Oh gosh. That's me making silly rhymes up. So like putting in a load of washing every day. And then we started doing like 10 minutes of cleaning. Or in my head, I was like, right, 10 minutes of cleaning.
You and the girls. I'm away working, so.
Yeah, so we started doing that. And that really helped as well. So rather than doing like a really big, deep clean every couple of months or whenever we do it, just trying to just doing 10 minutes. So we'd literally set a timer and then, just do 10 minutes together. And maybe we'd pick a room each to do or something like that. But we didn't last too long.
So it's being committed to these things, and it
is being committed and trying to make it part of your rhythm.
Set new habits to do it.
Yeah. And often attaching it to an existing habit really helps. So something that's really like well established. So meal times are a good well established habit that you're not gonna. They're like your anchors, aren't they, in your rhythm? And then you can attach these things on, which helps. But it is that thing of them being more consistent with it, which is always a challenge, I think.
With you talking about the girls helping you out, I think one thing, again, where we lack as a culture in Western cultures is that because we're so individualistic, we see our families very much as kind of in a very individualistic little unit. And what we don't realize is that there's rest within community. This is where other cultures are really good. Thinking about African cultures, like family, just your family members take some of the burdens off you to give you rest. Whereas we're not very good at that. We are very independent. Like, I think independence is a terrible idea, but we're very independent and self-sufficient to the point that actually we don't give ourselves rest because we don't allow others to come into our lives to alleviate some of the pressures that we face. So there's real rest in community.
Yeah.
And again, this is something we're trying to discover and work at, but we're terrible at it because it's not part of our culture.
And I think it's having those relationships, like if you haven't got kind of like grandparents or people, close family members or people that you've got those relationships with nearby, it's hard to ask people.
Although we're learning to do that.
We are learning to do that, but it's really through those relationships and having people that you
trust
and feel able to be like, oh, can you help me out with this, or I just really need to have a break.
And that's the thing, asking for help. I think again there's another top tip. Ask for help.
Yeah, ask for help. That is very true.
Really important. We should ask for help.
Yeah. And also, asking each other for help as well within the family unit too. That's something I've definitely needing to learn to do. I'm getting better at doing that, but
yeah, I think for you, in an ideal world, I would just see, right, you need help here, and you want me to pick it up, and I can read your mind. That would be the ideal. But that's not the case. The reality is, I don't spot these things, and I might be busy in my own little world, and you need help with something, and so it is just asking for help.
Yeah.
And I don't get upset about it, do I?
No, you don't. But I think it's that thing of if the other person has to constantly be thinking to ask for help, that's puts more on that person. And I think it's a team effort of like you also being willing to
keep an eye out,
be proactive as well, because otherwise then it's an added burden on the person to have to constantly be...
It's not that I'm saying the other person should just rely on you. Oh, if you need help, you just need to ask. I'm not going to bother keeping it. I think that's taking it to extremes. But and that's it. That's the thing, is we do take things to extremes sometimes. And so it's, for me to keep an eye out, for you to ask, isn't it?
Yeah, and having, and talking about it when there are frustrations.
Yeah.
Because often I don't realise that I'm frustrated, or I realise it too late, and then it kind of like comes out in other ways.
And then that doesn't create rest, does it?
No.
You're not in a restful state because, there's frustrations and things.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes you think about like the deeper side of life, of having a restful life. How
and what drives us? Like, what is it that prevents us from having rest?
Yeah.
What is it that's actually driving that striving almost?
Okay, so the things we strive for can stop us from having rest.
Yeah.
So in what way would you, what do you mean by that?
So, well, it's kind of giving a personal example, I guess. For me, I am committed to home educating, but also I think one of the things I've wrestled with is our housing and wanting to have our own house. And that's something that I, in many ways, am striving for. When I've got time, I want to work on my business stuff, because long term, my hope is that will build up, and that we'll be able to have our own home. But that can be unhealthy when I'm kind of taking that all upon myself, and that can lead to burnout. That striving and that thing of not resting and just trying to fit it in as much as I can, and that feeling of it's all kind of on me is an unhealthy place to be, I think.
So being almost not that you get consumed by it, but it's almost like, right, I've done the homemade side of things. Now I want to work on this really important goal. And that can then impact actually like the other part of your life, because that stops you from resting.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, what's the priorities here? Which is difficult because if there's certain values that you hold to that are important, but sometimes again these values are in conflict with each other, and then it's like, well, how can I be the best or be my best?
Yeah. But I think one of the things, just reflecting on it, I mean, one of the things that reflecting on it I was thinking about is we always, as humans, generally, when we've got something, we tend to then want something else.
So we're always looking to the next thing.
And so I'm very aware of that, I'm working towards this goal. There's nothing wrong with working towards that goal. But once I've got that thing, I will probably then want something else. And then I'll probably want something else. And so...
You're never satisfied with what you've got now because you're always working towards something else.
Yeah, sorry, I can hear. One of the children woke up, so that was hence the interruption there.
Interlude.
The interlude.
Yeah.
But I think we were talking about how often we can be striving for one thing and then it leads to another thing. And where will we find peace? Where will we find that content?
Yeah, be kind of at rest with whatever your circumstances are.
Yeah. And it was interesting because we were having a conversation about this at the weekend, and I think it was a little bit of a light bulb moment for me, because there was something that you said.
Well, with regards to wanting a house and working towards that house.
That specific situation,
Yeah,
but I think it's relevant to many others.
Yeah, part of it is, where do we find our security and where do we see a sense of security? And I think often in this life and in our culture, it's very much rooted in money and financial stability and having a house and certain assets. I think there's a promise of security in those things, but that's a false promise, because those things can change at any moment. There's no guarantee, there's no security in any of those things. Whereas when we look at Jesus's words, like he talks in the sermon, it's called the Sermon on the Mount, where he talks to a lot of different people, but especially poor people. And he talks about money, and he says you can only serve two masters. It's either you can serve God or you can serve money. And he talks about how, look at the birds of the air and the lilies of the field, and how these things grow and they exist, but they don't store up in barns like we people do. We store up masses of stuff in barns and all kinds of treasures that we think will do us good. And he says, part of the kingdom of God is that those birds of the air and the lilies of the field, God provides for them. And so for us too, he will provide for us. And it's rather than focusing our energy on trying to accumulate all these assets where we think we will find a sense of security. And he says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All these things will be given to you as well. I think there's another bit later on as well where Jesus talks about, if you ask your heavenly Father, or he relates it first to earthly parents, and he says, if you ask your parent for a
loaf of bread,
will he give you a stone? It's like, no, that's ridiculous. Or if you ask him for a fish, will he give you a snake instead? It's like some really interesting things he raises there. And he's like, well, your earthly fathers are not perfect, so they make mistakes, and yet they can give gifts. How much more will your heavenly Father, who is perfect, give you good gifts? So he talks about that, and he talks about worries about tomorrow. Do not worry about tomorrow, because today has enough trouble of its own. For me personally, I've been through life experiences where that really came to life, where I was facing homelessness and I was unemployed, and so I had nothing, and I was in England as a foreigner as well, so don't know how the systems and things work. And yet that experience, going through that process, has showed me I could totally rely on what Jesus is saying. That's absolutely true. So for me, and that's more in a personal sense, for me, I can rest assured and be at peace and enjoy life in the space and time we find it right now. Because again, we've been periods where we've been looking to something else, like we want to be there, we want to get there, we want to be
Yeah.
there, and we totally miss out on what we had then.
Yeah.
Whereas for you,
Yeah, I think a big thing for me was because we've moved a lot of times and for reasons out of our control, and the intensity of doing that, you know, numerous times with young children, I think that
those experiences, yeah, they were really difficult.
They were really difficult, and I don't want to keep going through that.
Yeah. So the solution is have your own place.
Yeah.
Because that will give a sense of stability and security.
Yeah, but also, whilst it was incredibly difficult, when I look back, you know, it is amazing how each time, you know, because of where we were living, there's very few rental places. And in fact, the one time, several times actually, when we tried to move, we had to move, there were no places available. There was, I remember there was one place on Rightmove. There was a flat, and I rang up to find out about this flat, and they said no, it's already gone. And there's nothing. There was nothing. And I was talking about this to the girls today. Actually, it was amazing. It's been amazing every time something has worked out, and you know, God has always provided for us. But I think some of those experiences has left, just the intensity of that has made me,
well, the impact of that.
Yeah, the impact of that has been that.
You don't want to experience that anymore.
Yeah.
So, and the most obvious solution to that is I just want my own place so that I don't have to go through that again.
But I also see what you're saying, that, you know, even if say you did buy your own place, there'll still be other challenges, you know. You just don't know what life can bring. And so it is also that thing of, don't be so, like you said, focused on that thing that you think will kind of make you happy and solve your problems, that you actually miss what you have right in front of you. And I think that's really, really important. And
for me, it helps me to be at rest and at peace and be content with what we've got. And then that means I can just be free to be me in a way.
Yeah.
I can just be, because there's no striving. I'm not striving to achieve something. I can just be. And that's quite a peaceful place to be in.
And intentionally having rest allows you, I think, to then, or it helps you to be more able to focus on what you've got and appreciate it in a similar way to, like, you know, God working over those 6 days and taking that 7th day to intentionally enjoy, you know, his work. And so I think...
which takes it back to the Sabbath of being able to enjoy what is, like within creation and nature and things, and just being able to enjoy that, be in that moment to appreciate it and enjoy some of it is enjoying the labours of your hard work. And if your hard work is investing your life into your children, it's enjoying seeing them, just watching them play and be, and seeing like that is part of the result of all the effort and energy we're spending in doing that.
Investing in them. Yeah. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear whether you take a Sabbath, whether you know, how do you find that? If you don't take a Sabbath,
what does rest look like for you?
Rest, yeah.
And we're still figuring out as well. I think that's the thing is we're still working at it.
Very much so. I hope that this has given you some food for thought, and that it's encouraged you a bit in your own life to take time to rest and to be intentional about that.
Yeah, I think it's now rest time for us because we're shooting this at night time.
It's
right. It's bedtime for us.
It's time to rest.
Thank you for sticking
listening.
along. Yeah, and I think this is getting longer and longer as we go on.
Yeah.
we're warming up so much more.
We'll see you in the next one, and we'll try and keep it briefer. We'll see.
We'll see. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.